Welcome to another Microsoft Unboxed Pod. This is episode 70. I'm your host today, Kareem Anderson. I'm joined by
David Allen. Hope everybody out there is doing well today. It is Friday, the third Friday of September. There we go.
Yeah, this is basically the time you're going to start seeing all of those spirit holiday Halloween stores start cropping up in old places. You're like, wasn't that so-and-so before? Now it's Spirit Halloween. And it'll be like that for the next, 29 days or so. So go get your Halloween costumes and count how many you see. That's about, yeah, go ahead.
One more. Make sure you go to Sam's Club and go ahead and buy your Christmas tree. They are on the shelf.
Yes, get it while the stocks are while they're in stock, because I think these are going to be pre-tariff buys. These are the inventory that people have before the tariffs hit. So if you buy it after, it's going to be a little more expensive. That being said, we are here to talk about news for Microsoft. We're discussing Microsoft unbundling teams from Office in the EU and Switzerland because they know how to regulate stuff. We're going to be talking about Windows on ARM. Quietly hitting its stride. They are Microsoft's championing that, most people are using about 90% of their apps that are now natively written for ARM. So it's a good future for them, much better than where we were at, about 5 years ago when we were trying this effort wholeheartedly then. NVIDIA and Intel partnered up or re-partnered up to the tune of about $5 billion. We'll get into the details of that and why I'm very skeptical that this will work out for anybody in this that are all involved. Meta will be expanding its mixed reality toolkit. A lot of people have seen the new Ray-Bans and have nothing but positive things to say, except me. I got some negative stuff to say, and I will tell you guys about that later. It has nothing to do with the technology, more about the social climate that we're in and the technology that's being thrusted upon us. Then we'll be talking about, I believe, moving over to gaming world, where Microsoft is finally starting to introduce that new Xbox experience we've been talking about for 7-8 months now. It's going to finally start rolling out to handhelds and Windows devices pretty soon. We're going to discuss how that should work in practical terms. We're also going to be talking about, what was the last one? I think I'm missing one. Make sure I get it right. And then remote play being part of this thing as well. Talking about, we had an event. I think Amazon teases a new hardware event as well. So we're going to be continuing the legacy of events in September, being the Apple event, Meta's new event. I think Snapdragon has an event at the end of this month as well. And then last, we're going to round out with some Gaming Pass news for free-to-play games. I know you guys would love that. We're going to continue that going, get you set up for the weekend. With that being said, I'm going to stop rambling, get you guys in the news so we can get you guys out and enjoying your weekend. Before I jump into that, I'm going to let David say a few words if he'd like to.
Well, I think we're in that season too. Something you mentioned is, holidays and all that good stuff. But we're also in the Surface season. If we're going to get a Surface event, we're in that season where we're going to start hearing about that. We're also in the season where we're getting ready to start hearing a lot of games coming out for consoles, to get that holiday rush in. We've got Call of Duty coming. We've got Battlefield 6 coming. Still, I can't think of the other one right now, but there's one more that is popular. But it's a good time to be in tech. It's a good time to be in gaming. This is my favorite time of year, just kind of watching these companies shove everything out in front of us for the holiday. That way they can go home and drink their eggnog, spiked or otherwise, for the rest of the year and enjoy their profit numbers or lack of profit numbers.
Ooh, that is true. Speaking about profit numbers, our next story is going to be about what could affect Microsoft's profit numbers, because this is particularly why they bundle stuff. It's because the EU has told them no more bundling, enough with the force feeding of Teams to people. Microsoft has entered into a formal agreement with the European Commission over its bundling of Microsoft Teams and Office 365 and Microsoft 365. The case officially listed as AT40721, if you want to go look that up online to make sure you get all the details of that specifically, is a pivotal moment for EU and Microsoft in general, because Microsoft didn't fight this as nearly as long as it fought to keep Windows bundled with things. So you can see the level of priority when it comes to that, and just the realization that, hey, it's not worth fighting, I suppose, as much. If you want to date this back all the way, I think it started in 2023, so about 2 years ago, when I think Slack, which is ironically now bundled into Salesforce, filed a complaint saying, hey, we will not survive as a small company that uses enterprise chat as our main revenue source if Microsoft can just, basically fund it through its, other businesses, and it doesn't have to take a loss for anything. And they get to push it to a huge audience that we also fight for, and just put it into Office 365. So this is where you can kind of see Microsoft's advantage and where it could be perceived as illegal competition practices. And with that being said, that's exactly what ended up happening. The EU said you are no longer allowed to bundle these. To resolve the case, Microsoft is committed to unbundling Teams in the EA, improving interoperability, documentation, and offering Teams as a standalone product. The changes signal a shift for more modularity and more a la carte productivity and pairing of things. So it gives people few more ways to kind of create their own Office productivity suite. There'll also be enhanced API access and data portability, which, that was part of the thing that they have to offer as a concession. And I believe the remedies and fines section of this, let me make sure I get it all included. Aside from offer, like I said, they also have to offer the same or similar levels of API access to Slack and other third parties as they would their own product. What are your thoughts on the EU saying, hey, if people want Office 365 and Slack, they should be able to do that. If they want Office 365 and some other product and not Teams, they're allowed to do that. Meanwhile, in the US, it's like, hey, idiot, here's your dog food. Eat your Microsoft Teams and be happy. I think your mic's off.
Yes. Sorry about that. I'm gonna take the EU side on this. We're in this world where people and companies should be allowed to make their own decisions. I am a bundling guy. I will admit that. I like all my stuff to work together. I do. But I see the point that people should be able to choose what they want to use. Now, does that mean you're going to be paying a premium for, say you wanted Microsoft Office 365 and you didn't want Teams or you didn't want Word? You should be able to make that choice. But if it goes the other way and you say, okay, I want to use Slack for my communications, but I want to use Word for my documents, then expect to pay a premium for Word, because what makes this work is the bundling factor. Microsoft knows when you sign up and you type in your password and you click go, they've got you locked into that ecosystem. That's how you get your discounts. So I would be expecting to say, okay, if I just want one piece, I'm willing to pay a little bit more. And me, if I lived in the EU and this was a choice, I would be willing to pay a few dollars more for just Word or just Excel, whichever one I needed, instead of having to buy the whole thing, because ultimately Microsoft has to make money here. I get that, you want Word, we're going to shove Teams down your throats. Go ahead and use that so we can continue to make money off of that, maybe get you to buy an add-on, maybe get you to buy a subscription, maybe get you to buy some OneDrive storage. I get it. But I think we're going to have to head to a place where we're back to the way things used to be. Does anybody remember? I'm going to go way back for just a second. A place called Egghead Software. They had the small stores, and when you went in, you bought Word, you bought Excel, you bought PowerPoint, and you walked out with 3 boxes, if 3 boxes was what you needed. So it didn't used to be this way. And I think we're going to go back to a place where you just buy the pieces you needed. Because what always upset me was Microsoft Access. I think I've opened it 3 times in my life. And two of those times were during a computer science course where we had to learn database coding and database connections. But it's always there, but I've never used it. So I get it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm going to keep it short as my response is that in light of recent political news, I think we are coming to a point where we need to reevaluate how big companies are and what's in the best interest for the user. We've gotten to a point where we've accepted bundling and subscriptions, and it's just made companies bigger and probably to the detriment of the user experience for a lot of people. Yes, Google offers a lot of cool free stuff, but if you were to pay for the things that you have, maybe be more proficient in them, and it would force them to continuously work and strive to keep you as an audience. I know, to your point, I am also a victim. I would say victim, a participant of bundling. Yes, I like a lot of stuff Microsoft offers. I use Copilot because it's there. But if I had to pay for it, maybe I'd be more, again, proficient in learning on what I need to know because, hey, I'm paying for this. I want to get all the use out of it. I need to know to the extent of, if it's $5 or whatever. And again, I say this only because recently Google launched a sort of like a powers tool version of their Google search on Windows, and it works very well. Its UI, the way that it functions, is probably more intuitive than Windows search, which has obviously been in Windows for decades. I say this is if this were offered as something that people paid $1 for, $2 for, maybe they paid one down payment for $60 or whatever. Say I want to Google search on my Windows and I want to replace Windows search. That's where you get to see Microsoft saying, all right, well, we need to actually compete because we're losing people to this tool that people can pay for, even though we bundle this one and we kind of just put it there and, it's there in front of, billions of people's eyes. We don't really need to do very much to it. Now that people are paying for this thing and they're actively using it, we need to either undercut them on price or undercut them on features and functionality. So that's, to my, rambling rant. Competition is better. Hopefully, to your point, we get to a point where a lot of stuff starts to get unbundled. That's including a lot of these, subscription services that bundle all their channels together, or these big corporations that buy up, large, conglomerates, and they, show like a bunch of stuff. Maybe they start, breaking down. We start getting back to smaller things that are more specialized, that offer a better user experience or better customer experience day to day than just the amorphous, like, oh, this thing is big, and just because it has a few things I like, and it makes my day a little bit less or a little bit more convenient. That being said, let's move on to. Go ahead.
I want to take a little fork in the road here for just a second.
Sure.
The Google that you talk about, I saw where you had covered that little. I'm gonna call it a power tool for right now. I saw where you had covered that. I haven't tried it due to privacy concerns, because my first thought was you throw that up there, they're going to start tracking every single file that's in your PC. Based on what you said, you have tried it. Have you noticed anything?
Yeah, no, it does. It does that. You're granted permission to do that. I mean, but it's no different than having, I think it's the Google Drive plugin into File Explorer. A lot of people do that where they will have File Explorer open and they do a certain, I think it's a plugin, if I'm not mistaken, that allows it to sit natively underneath. So if you have all your files in File Explorer and then you have it connected to OneDrive and you can pull up all your files in that one UI, you can do the same thing with Google Drive. Okay. So Google Drive will have access to your File Explorer, which means that, again, it has access to all the stuff in Google Drive, but it's sitting and needs to parse through things if you're searching through it through the Windows drive or the whatever's stored on your Windows device. So But it is, if you're worried about Google having more access to your drive and you don't even use that Google Drive thing, then yes, I would be weary of that. But like I said, as a user experience, it is very Chromebook-esque. It is very, what is the thing that's called on Mac or whatever that has that?
Spotlight, because that was going to be my second question. That to me, Spotlight search has always been the best search, in my opinion, among PCs, because I always enjoyed the fact that when I start typing, assuming you use Safari as your default browser, it searches everything, web included. So does this Google tool do that? Does it search your files and web included?
From what I've been testing so far, yeah. And again, Microsoft Windows Search does index, and you can, at least on the versions that I've been testing, pull up web results as well. I mean, ironically, the web results are a little more precise than your file ones, which is, again, indicative of Windows Search. But enough bashing on Windows. If you want to try it out, you can go to our write-up. I forget where you can, the official URL to test it out. But they are going to have, I think it's limited. So try and get there before the end of the weekend. They may shut off access to it at some point and finish testing it. So I would suggest you reading or searching, Google it, or go to our website. I'd rather you do that and read the article about it and see if it works for you. Next story we got is Microsoft celebrating Windows 11 on ARM's progress.
I will celebrate with them. Continue.
Oh, and just for those who are watching, here's a screenshot of the search. It looks just like a Google search. It's a keyboard command. Backtracking to the previous story, if you're looking for the Google search, it's a keyboard command. I believe it's it's Windows and I, or I forget what it is, but it doesn't sit anywhere. It doesn't take any space in your taskbar. And when you click on it, it appears on your desktop on top of everything else. And so it's, again, very convenient that way. Move back to the main topic, though. Windows on ARM has, kind of died down as far as public perception, I would say, is going. Not a lot of people are still covering those devices, really. Everyone's enamored with all the phones and stuff. Not to mean that people aren't using them. But with that being said, Microsoft is saying that I think it just recently had a blog publishing a blog detailing the progress that has been made when it comes to the app developers supporting Windows 11 on ARM with natively compiled apps. Today, the company claimed, or I guess earlier this week, that 90% of the time on ARM-based PCs are now spent with natively compiled apps, which is a huge improvement over the last time we did this, which was that Windows or the Surface Pro X back right before the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken, or right around the pandemic time. And that's always been the big barrier to entry for Windows on ARM, is just the way that getting apps compiled to run on this thing natively, so that all the benefits of ARM are showcased. If you have it running through emulator, you're cutting half your benefits, which are the battery and processing power and the fan noise, and so all of that. When you have it running natively, you gain all of that back, and it makes it a much more enticing proposition. So, what are your thoughts on that? And I'll get to the list of apps that are that they claim.
I will keep this brief, except to say I am probably one of the biggest Windows on ARM fans out there, because one, the devices are efficient, and part of what makes them efficient are developers making their apps native on ARM, as you mentioned. So I was kind of surprised to hear when you mentioned this before the show that many apps were on Windows on ARM. It's good. It's bad that it's unnoticed, but it's also good that it's unnoticed. It's good in the fact that people are downloading apps and getting the performance they expect, and not having to go, well, is this the right version? Did I download the right version? Did I get the right version? I'm at the point with ARM where things just seem to work as expected. I'm not seeing a whole lot of, but I'm not asking it to game either now. Let's be clear. I'm not asking it to game. I have been able to edit some videos, some basic 4K video with DaVinci Resolve, which is a native ARM app now. So I think we're where we need to be, as far as now Snapdragon, Qualcomm can jump in and say, look, let's put some hardware on this. Let's put some graphic horsepower on this. We've got the software backing we've been looking for. Now the pressure's on Qualcomm to go
Very
get
much so.
to go get the MacBook M4. Show me what you can do. How much power can you give me? How efficient can you make it? Can you keep the screens at 2.5, 3K OLED? Can you give me a 4K screen? What can you do? And I'm here to see it. And I think, you mentioned, I think there's a Qualcomm event coming up where there might be some interesting announcements. I know I was using Copilot the other day. It was this week. I was actually doing some coding, and I mentioned needing something for ARM specifically. And you know how Copilot kind of puts their own 2 cents in to make themselves sound more human at the bottom. It says, and if you will pay attention to the upcoming announcement, you may hear something about the Snapdragon X2. And
Fancy.
I went, thanks, Copilot. Appreciate that.
Yeah, just to kind of run down a few lists, and we'll see, you can listen to see if there's any apps on here that you tried initially, probably bounced away from because it either wasn't run natively or even through the kind of translator layer, emulation layer engine, I guess, it wasn't working very well. You might want to revisit. There's 7-Zip, Google Drive, Dropbox, Trello, Todoist, LibreOffice, Adobe Creative Suite. We'll get to that in a second. Camtasia, Paint.net, Paint.net, I guess, DJ Pro, CapCut, Figma, Apple TV, Apple Music, Google Chrome, Telegram, WhatsApp, Spotify, DaVinci Resolve, as you mentioned, Blender, Luminary Neo, and Microsoft Office. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but it is if, a lot of people are, beyond Edge and Chrome, which Chrome is also natively written for ARM now, the browser, which you can then turn most other things into PWAs. That's still a pretty decent list. If you're looking for more corporate apps, you have to look for a separate list on that. I'm sure they have that. I want to get to the Adobe Creative Suite because, again, that's where Apple tends to run off with its reviews and its audience capture. A lot of YouTubers love to, tout, the way that it processes video and things like that. Adobe recently released its beta apps for Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Audition, things like that, and they're running natively on ARM, which allows me to, again, start creating and compiling a video on my Surface Pro, which I take everywhere. Now, I can render it. It would just take forever. But what I couldn't do before was I couldn't create a video on my Surface Pro, which runs Windows on ARM, and then port it back to my rendering device because they were running 2 different versions, even emulated. I don't know which version this ARM was running. But now I can start it there and run the exact same one through this beta program, which is huge for anybody who wants to start doing that. Now, to your point, hopefully they'll get the GPUs in place on Snapdragon so they can do it all on that device. And once that's done, I think there's going to be few arguments for people to say, hey, other than if you like the operating system itself, there's no reason not to use a Windows and ARM PC. Again, I think it comes down to the user's preferability as far as the OS operates versus this app that I use across both OSs works better on this and doesn't work better on that. So they're getting there. They're getting close. I don't think it'll be solved next year, but the talking points, I think, start to shrink. Next thing we have is NVIDIA and Intel. Speaking of chips, have done a joint development project that basically comes to the tune of about $5 billion of investment from NVIDIA into Intel. And it's aimed at co-developing a custom x86 chip integrated with RTX GPU technology. So if you're just listening to that sentence, the hope is that you get an integrated beefier GPU from Intel versus the tacked on process that we currently are used to as Intel users, where it's Intel CPU and NVIDIA's GPU that kind of work in, kind of like pedals on a bike or in a car, where it's one does one does the other, one accelerates, one pauses. They kind of have to, work through thermal processing, and that's done by the laptop provider which has to figure out, all right, well, the GPU's kicked up, NVIDIA's chip is kicked in. I need to throttle down the CPUs and kick up the fan. I mean, it's a whole process of managing. If you have it all in a chip, it now becomes Intel's issue to manage all of that. And the PC provider like Lenovo or whatever, they can tailor their OS management systems to run other functions, maybe NPU functions or other things. So that's the idea. NVIDIA will purchase about $5 billion in Intel common stock, which I think they get at about $23.28 per share. And again, this is pending regulatory approval. But I think that's been the plan. It was just announced this week. They both seem excited. I'm skeptical, but I'm going to let you go first. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm skeptical of the whole thing. I don't see. Am I wrong to say why are these two people working together? I would rather see NVIDIA produce. I'm going to go there. I would rather see NVIDIA produce a CPU.
Ooh, shots fired.
On their own. We have seen hints of it through the years. We have even seen statements where, they've been kind of throwing things at other makers and said, well, we could make a CPU if we wanted to. I want to see that because I feel like we continue to do things to hold Intel up. If you look back at the history of what Intel has been through over the past couple of years, they've had a new CEO. They've had political investments. They've canceled products. They've canceled services. So, they've been on the decline. Now, how much of a decline in the big picture of things, I don't know. I'm not saying Intel is going out of business by any means because they make plenty of products that are not directly connected to your CPU and your GPU to survive, I would think. So I don't like it. I feel like it was a strong arm effort where Intel says, we need some help. And NVIDIA says, we'll help you. Well, here's what you're going to get. Yeah, we'll take that. I feel like we got two enemies that are suddenly going to be friends. And once the honeymoon period is over, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I have two views.
Kind of the simplified version. What's yours?
I have a nihilistic view and I have a cynical view. I'm going to do the cynical view first. The cynical view is that NVIDIA, with their, almost $1 trillion valuation company, took some of that money and was saying, here's $5 billion for us to basically siphon your CPU technology. In order to integrate this, they're going to need to partner and they're going to need to share developers. They're going to need to share roadmaps and architectures in order to work for this to work together. And NVIDIA is saying hey, for $5 billion, we're going to implant or, some of our guys into your workflow, figure out how you guys plan to make this work together. And maybe 5 years from now that we know how, you guys are producing CPUs this way, we start to create, to your point, our own CPU with our own integrated GPU. We've fast forwarded our developing technology for CPU by giving you $5 billion to allow us into the gates to see how everything works. That's my cynical view of this. My nihilistic view has more to do with politics and policy. Recently, we know that the Trump administration, the U.S. government, which I think they were kind of sort of doing this under Biden, is just a little less forward about it. But they invested some money into actual stock in Intel. And I think in order to continue to prop this up, they also have NVIDIA, who's also working with the administration to avoid tariffs in a specific way. I think in order to continue to avoid tariffs, which is what NVIDIA needs to do in order to keep as much money as they can in their pocket, agree to also invest in Intel as well. Because again, at the end of the day, Intel, to your point, is kind of on the decline. And so far, over the last, several generations of late chipsets and stuff like that, haven't proven that they've gotten over the power consumption over everything architecture. They kind of stumbled into something kind of close with Lunar Lake, where they prioritized processing and battery management. But since then, they've kind of gone back to power over everything. And I don't think going forward, they've shown something that we don't know about, that NVIDIA said, hey, this is going to be the future. But I think what ended up happening was Trump administration said, hey, we're investing in Intel. And if you want to keep your sweet loophole or workaround going, you will also invest in this. And I think they're going to continue to do so until, things either catastrophically fall apart or is proven to not work out for either company, or to your point, maybe NVIDIA figures out, hey, after 3 years, we know how to make chips. Goodbye, Intel. It's not worth it anymore. So those are my 2 views on it. We're going to keep an eye on it, obviously, and let you guys know how this is going. You're probably going to know yourselves when you start to get these PCs into your hands. But I mean, again, we've known that these two work together, obviously, on gaming PCs, heavy-duty PCs that need discrete GPUs. They're not, this isn't anything drastically new, but it is interesting to see it kind of unfold the way that it's going. Our next topic is going to be Meta. I think this is yours. What do you got for us?
I want to be the bad guy on our CPU topic for just a minute. I want to make one statement. AMD HX 370, fully integrated GPU, fully integrated CPU. It lives in a lot of very popular mini PCs and the Asus Z13. It is the equivalent of the NVIDIA 4070 in synthetic benchmarks. So Intel's got a little work to do still before they're going to catch up with Big Red over there in the corner.
I'm going to be the bad guy to your bad guy, though.
Okay, go ahead.
AMD hasn't proven that they can do that without throttling hard. Now they've had these chips that run these synthetic benchmarks and do great, and they do great mini PCs because they're plugged in. The second you take these things off of the outlet and onto a battery, and that's been AMD's thing. Again, they produce great chips when plugged in, over the roof with performance. As soon as you unplug them, they throttle down real hard. So they also.
You're right.
Okay. Here's something that won't need to be plugged in, at least not while you're wearing it.
Well, don't even get me started on this, because I'm having a moment with this.
Don't get so choked up. It's just a pair of headsets. Computer on your face is back. At least that's what
the Ray-Ban glasses are back with the Ray-Ban display. And I want to make sure I get this name correct. It was the Meta Neuro Band, which goes on your arm, on your wrist. And I'm going to give you the short version because I'm not very enthused over these. The idea is, if you remember the old Nintendo glove that people used to wear,
the power glove.
The power glove. That's kind of what I'm thinking about here. That's kind of what comes to mind. You will be able to control your glasses with subtle movements with your hand or your arm. Now, first of all, who wants this on their face? Second of all, who wants this on their arm? Third of all, are we building RoboCop?
To your point, I think you and I had this discussion a couple of days ago, or after it was announced. This idea of deconstructing the phone, I feel like only really works when you do it with food. Like, I'm going to make a hamburger, but I'm going to make a fancy deconstructed one where I take all the parts out and then make you pay extra for it. People will only buy that usually when it comes to food. When you make things more complicated, people tend to get turned off. That was the convenience of phones, is that they took a bunch of things like cameras, music, Walkmans, all that stuff, put it into one, and put that one interaction as close to precision as you can get. I push this, actions happen. Now what you're doing is you're basically deconstructing it by saying half the actions happen up here when I move my hand or something down here.
Well, there's also
talk as well. Go ahead.
There's also the 5 minutes to get ready to wear it every day. I got to put my glove on. I got to put my glasses on.
Yes.
Don't forget. You got to put your smartwatch on too. You got to
say some people would argue like, hey, people wear rings, they wear smartwatches, they wear glasses, they have a phone. Like people do that, and they're actively doing it. But it also serves that these things aren't embedded so tightly within each other that they need to be done. Again, if I walk out the house, usually just my phone and my wallet are the two things that are necessities. If I have a watch and it's not charged, or I drop it somewhere, I forget it, it's not the end of the world. Sure, it's expensive and it sucks, but not the end of the world. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the watch. Drop it, break it, lose it. Definitely sucks for the day, sucks for my bank account. Not the end of the world. Lose my phone. That's an issue.
And my day stops.
Basically. So I'm assuming with this hand thing and the watch, if you lose half of your functionality right there, it's going to be a bad day regardless, even if you still have things in your face. Now you're having to yell into your headset to do a lot of what you could have been doing discreetly. And not a lot of people like to talk. I mean, there are some a-holes out here who like to talk out loud and play music out loud on their phone and stuff, but not most of us like to keep our computing interactions to ourselves. And I'm going to keep saying this. I don't think we want computers on our faces. They keep trying to tell us, hey, wouldn't it be cool to have overlays of information? I think we as humans our brains weren't designed to interact with this much information. Currently, we're having trouble digesting and behaving correctly with this much consumption of news and constant stimulation from our phone. And now you're just going to say, hey, it's going to always be on, at least for my phone. If I'm going to go walk to my car, I can put it away. I don't need overlays going from my house to my car to show me, hey, here's the amount of gas you have in your car. Here's the weather today. Hey, I put the phone away. Same thing at a restaurant. Same thing if I'm interacting with you at your house. If I'm talking, if I'm going to go play a sport, I don't need all that other stuff. I can put the phone away with the glasses.
This is part of the world problem, in my opinion, and I realize that opens Pandora's box for a lot of people. Put the devices down. There's a reason we tell you at the end of each podcast, or most when we remember to do it. You tell people smell grass. How many times do you have a social interaction with somebody these days? All right, this is the phone. They're talking to you. The phone, talk. The phone, talk. The phone, talk. Well, now you're wearing these glasses and you're going to have people are they looking at you? Do you know? Or are they reading a Facebook Messenger or a text message or the weather or a work email? And I know I'm kind of off a little bit, maybe.
Or are they looking up your LinkedIn profile as you speak? Or are they scrolling through your social media as you're talking to them? It's kind of it's a little bit weird.
I just have a problem. I mentioned it when the Ring come out. I sort of mentioned it to you offline that I thought the Ring was a little too much when you had the smartwatch, and you came back, well, some people just won't help, so wearing the Ring makes sense. I get it. But the glasses in this form, too much.
Well, I mean, two things, and I'm going to end it with these two. One, I know we sound like boomers, but there is a cohort of younger people who they're actively saying, you know what, social media and constantly on the phone is a detriment to our, mental health, us growing up as, into adults. And they're actively trying to do less on their phones. Now, again, I'm not, the comparison of what actively less means, is subjective, but they are conscious enough, young people, younger than myself, that are saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to I'm going to do things a little more analog, a little more on the analog side than digital. So, maybe this will work itself out, hopefully through the youth. Second of all, this is the same guy who said the metaverse was the next big thing. So I am not trusting that he knows that, hey, even as well as these Ray-Bans do, that this is still going to be the thing. Apple thought the Vision Pro was it. Microsoft thought, HoloLens was it. And we praised HoloLens. We talked about all the potential for it. I think the real potential, again, is more for construction workers, doctors, things like that. More commercial use cases, not consumer. Google thought it was, or Google glasses or whatever. Like this computer interface thing has been tried several times, and a lot of companies have failed. And I think, personally, I think Ray-Bans, as well as people say that they are and they work real well, I don't think this is the thing. Next, we're going to talk about Amazon. Maybe Amazon has a pair of glasses they want to offer us. What are you thinking?
They got a pair of something. I don't think it's glasses. I think it's going to be speakers.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, The Verge was first with this one. We have an Amazon event, September the 30th. We're kind of debating what's going to be at that event. We know Panos Panay is over there now in charge of hardware and services, but we're predicting that we're going to see Alexa Plus and the integration of Alexa Plus into the Amazon smart speakers. Because remember, Amazon is kind of like Apple. The A's are behind on the AI. Get that? The A's are behind on the AI.
I see what you're doing there.
Yep. So the A's are behind on the AI. So we're expecting some updates, maybe to some speakers, possibly some updates to the Kindle tablet. And a reminder that the last real update that was done was the Echo Shows, which are pretty cool devices, which was November 2024. We got the brand new Echo Show 15 and the larger Echo Show 21. So what is Panos Panay over there tinkering with? Because we've not really heard a lot from Amazon since he took over, except for a few small things. Now, something I did read that was a little disappointing, that some of these new speakers that come out will support Alexa Plus. Some of the older speakers will not. So what is Panos over there got his fingers in?
I'm assuming it has to do with some processing NPUs that are going to be dedicated to these IoT devices that process a lot of this AI that they're going to try and push. And all these older devices probably won't have them. So it's, and I don't think they're going to do the effort like Microsoft to do any of the backwards compatibility that Microsoft did for making specialized containers to run this stuff like they did with Windows 10. It's like, hey, Copilot runs on NPUs, and we're going to figure out, because we have a huge Windows 10 base, which, by the way, Windows 10 is coming to an end. So just read about our stuff on the site about that. We're going to work all of this backwards compatibility. I think Amazon's saying, all right, well, hey, you bought these things for, I don't know, $7 a pack. Go buy some more, and they'll have better chips in them. But yeah, I'm interested to see. I'm assuming they're going to have a lot to talk about tablets. I think they are investing probably in that ecosystem. I know that they're going to be potentially doing away with their weird knockoff version of Android and just doing Android on the tablets.
Oh, God.
So that could be a boon, because again, if you can get an Amazon tablet, instead of running Silk, it runs Chrome, and you get all the regular apps, but you get that same bundle that comes with Amazon Prime. So it becomes like a $90 tablet, 10-inch tablet, pretty rugged, runs Android. You don't have to like tell your kids, oh, look at YouTube through the browser. That could be big. That could just be enough for them, I think, to call it a win for the day.
And you have to remember, Amazon has something a lot of these other companies doesn't have, the ability to subsidize these things to make them cheap. Because the last Android,
they got new marching orders to say, stop doing that, make some money.
The last Android tablet I bought, you had a choice, and you were locked into that choice once you made that purchase, which was interesting. It was a cheap tablet as long as you agreed to advertisements. It was a more expensive tablet if you wanted the advertisements off. And if you bought the one with advertisements, you could never go back and pay to turn the advertisements off. So, we see who won that war.
Remember, they tried that with TVs. They're like, oh, we're going to give you a free TV if you like advertisers. I haven't heard that project since, but who knows? With the upcoming tax hikes and everything, maybe we'll start rehearing those discussions. But you do prove a point. We're going to move on to our last story, which is Xbox app. This is kind of big, right?
Yeah, I think this is big for gamers in general. We're starting to see the launch of the I'm gonna call it the combined, or the where you can see all of your
The
game
unification
type.
of
Yeah, thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, my friend. I could not find that word in my vocabulary today. The unification of all of your game stores in the app. So Steam, Epic, Ubisoft. What's the other one?
Activision.
Activision. Yep.
What is it?
You,
Battle,
BattleNet.
BattleNet.
BattleNet. So when you open your Xbox app, you will be prompted to sign in to all the services that you have games. And from then on, when you open that app, you will see all of your games aggregated in the app, and you can just play accordingly, be it on device or be it in the cloud. You do have that choice. If the game is available in the cloud, you do have the choice to play. Now, I haven't tried it myself. I do have two gaming computers on the dev channel and one on the beta channel, and I'm hitting refresh 2 or 3 times a day because I want to see this. I want to see how this works. I want to see how this behaves. I do know from watching a YouTube video or two, it seems to work pretty well. Something somebody brought up is the streaming actually will give you the choice, if you have a GeForce Now subscription, to stream it on Xbox or stream it on GeForce Now. Why would you do that? Well, let me give you a very 30-second rundown. GeForce Now recently, as in this week, last week, has done some major upgrades to that service. They have added the 5080, 5090 GPUs into the streaming service. I have tried it. You do have to have a very nice internet connection to do that. There are rumors going around that Xbox is playing with a resolution bitrate upgrade for Xbox Cloud. So we're kind of making that push. Pick up that one device, and I'm going to steal 2 words that we have heard for the last 10 years. Play anywhere. And I'm here
Yeah,
for it. I like that. I like what I see there.
yeah. You and I were just talking on Mike about the promise that Sarah Bond, I think her name is, made
Yeah,
about
Sarah Bond.
store. I think it's coming to fruition now. The mobile gaming store, who knows if that's even. I haven't seen her in any roadmaps. The only people who
No.
talk about it are like Tom Ward and Jez over at Windows Central, and they don't talk about it in good lights. It's like, it seems like an empty promise right now. But at least as far as the main cohort of gamers, this seems to be coming together rather cohesively and nicely. We envision this being the open up your device straight into this, compact game mode, which keeps all your UI pretty in front and not behind any hidden menus, puts all your stores in one spot, will allow you to the flexibility to bounce out to the store if they have better deals or savings, or if your libraries are free over there. You can still access them and get it all within the same UI, as opposed to switching back and forth and having to even see the Windows background that you have or whatever, or any of those updates, any of that annoyance that becomes Windows control panel or other management stuff. You can just go straight to the UI and say, hey, all my games are connected from Steam, all 400 of them or whatever, the ones that I bought on sale, and I can just start playing them right then and there. That's great. Our last thing is talking about games. What are you going to be playing if you're able to get this set up this weekend?
Yep, I'm going to run through the free play days really quick for you guys. We've got let's see, what they started Thursday and they last through Sunday, September 21st. We have I'm gonna have to pronounce this here. Sandulity Echo of Ada. We have Match Point Tennis. These 2 titles will require you to have your Xbox subscription, standard, core, or ultimate. And if you don't have a subscription, you have 2-hour time trials here. You've got Town Scraper and what was the name of the other one?
Ship
Ship
of
of
Fools.
Fools. Yep, Ship of Fools was the name of the other one. Make sure, folks, some of these titles are on amazing sales here. You've got, for example, Town Scraper is just $1.99. You've got Ship of Fools is just $23.99. You've got Sandulity Echo of Ada. It's just $19.99. And if you're a tennis fan, the Midpoint Tennis Championships, it's just $19.99, $20. So if you really wanted to go all out this weekend, you could spend, say, $75, $80, and you could get a good little set of games here. So keep that in mind with these free play days. And I keep hounding this because this is what people need right now. We need these deals. We need distractions, I feel like, for a lot of things going on in the world. So jump on over to Xbox.com. You can grab them there. If you're on your console, go to your subscription, slide down to free play days. You'll see what you have available.
Yeah, if you are, I'm going to try out Matchpoint. I'm a fan of tennis. I played tennis a couple weeks ago. The U.S. Open, and if there's anybody out there like me who may have wanted someone else to win, you could reenact that with Matchpoints. Or if you're just trying to catch up on all of the new young tennis people, all the names you keep hearing about but don't really know about, I think playing the games are a good way to do it. I did the same thing when I was playing college football games or WNBA games, to get quickly into it without having to invest hours in each game per week. I play the video games and I'd see the names, I'd see the players, I see their stats, I'm playing as them. And so I had an affinity towards that player when I saw them again in real life or on TV playing the sport. So, I always say, and this kind of goes to what we're going to say in the weekend, seeing something and interacting with it live, in person, or as close to person as you can, helps kind of solidify that, experience. So again, even if you play these games, if you can go see a local tennis match, if you want to go play tennis yourself, grab a partner or grab a tennis racket and a ball, I think you'll get a better appreciation for these things. So with that being said, where can people find you if they want to talk to you about this stuff, talk about the games or play these games again?
David PAJ 1978. That is over on Blue Sky. I really don't hang out on the Twitters, and once in a while you might find me over on Threads, but I'm a Blue Sky guy. So David PAJ 1978, please head over. We'll do some game.
Yeah, you can find me at Happy Hulk at Blue Sky as well. Just like my partner David, I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter, so don't look for me there. If you want to also find me, you can find me on Kareem Anderson on Threads, where I will talk about comics and some other stuff as well, movies and things like that. But as far as video games are concerned, maybe Blue Sky. I don't really talk about video games. I just play them. I'm a dad. I don't have a lot of time. And the big games I play are more casual than not. So you may be annoyed by me. Who knows? With that being said, we want you guys to go out, play some video games. If you're not a video game person, go out and touch the grass. If you're allergic to grass, get away from it. Go back inside. But at least do something that you enjoy. And for whatever the amount of time it is that you do enjoy it. If it's listening to music, if it's cooking food, if it's having conversations, if it's annoying your siblings, go and do that and enjoy yourself this weekend. I'm going to annoy my siblings. There we go. We will see you guys again next week. Thank you for joining us and have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend, everybody.